You need some. You can put on my pink ones. I know they never get stolen when I pick.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Madison County Planning Commission workshop for Wednesday, March 18th. It looks like we do have a quorum. We do have one notable absence. Mr. Cowan is under the weather, so he will not be attending. Anyone online back there? Nothing, okay. All right, a reminder to everyone as well, up here, make sure you have your microphones on when speaking. And then we ask that any applicant or general public also approach the microphone, state your name and location, and make sure the microphone is on as well. All right, getting into it, we do need to adopt the agenda. All right. All right, the motion's been made and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none. All right, at this point, we'll just go to general public comment. This is not case-specific tonight, but just general public comment. All right, seeing none and none online still. All right, moving on. All right, our first order of new business is the adoption of the March 4th, 2026 minutes, which were in the packet presented.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we accept as submitted.
Second.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded to adopt the minutes as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none. All right, and just a reminder, we'll read through the case information up here. Mr. Nichols and staff will provide comments, and then we'll go to each of the individual applicants for comment and questioning from there. Our first case is case number RZ-02-26-01, Bella Rain LLC, rezoning. This is the second workshop. Jet Hostetler, on behalf of Bella Rain LLC, has requested to rezone a portion of the parcel identified as Madison County Tax Map 56-5A on Shelby Road from A1 to A1R1 split zoned. The purpose of the rezoning is to allow future home site on approximately 24 acres of this 67.70 acre parcel. Mr. Nichols?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think that we pretty well adequately explored this one at our first workshop. I will say that we had one remaining question. Let me go reference really quick. There was a question raised about any setback requirements for residences from landfills, industrial or otherwise. The closest requirement that I could find that would apply is in the administrative code, and it requires new disposal units to be set back 200 feet from residences. But we're not close, so I think it's a non-issue. But that was the only follow-up item I had from the first workshop for you all.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions for Mr. Nichols? Seeing none. Any public comment or anything to add? You may have some questions for the panel, so.
Good evening. Can I pull this up a little
You
bit?
sure may.
Just not touch that. All right, I'm Jet Hostetler, owner of Jetstone Builders. I don't have really any further, I guess, comments or information other than what Alan shared. I was curious if there were any, regulations, regarding setbacks surrounding, the landfill. And we would be, probably 1,000 feet away in relation to directly across the road. Maybe not quite that far, but it would be a good distance. And there was another question raised regarding, what does it look like to, let's say drill wells, around a landfill transfer station. We feel pretty confident that everything is sound and would be sound just based upon several things. One is there are houses all around this area, around the transfer station, that have been here for many years. and we're not aware there are any issues. A new home was put just recently to the left side of this parcel, almost touching down in the corner there, and, you know, new well, septic and everything, no issues. So obviously, if, for example, this proposal would be approved, we would do some further exploratory work, you know, just to make sure everything is sound. Because as a builder, you know, we're always trying to, you know, look at risk, reward scenarios, and obviously, you know, we're liable if something, you know, goes wrong. So really the first step was just to see, you know, would this be possible? And then just kind of, you know, take the second step would be further, you know, testing, just to make sure that, you know, everything is sound. So that's kind of our thought process. And I would welcome any questions or comments.
Thank you. Actually, I have one, and I probably should have brought it up to Mr. Nichols earlier. Mr. Dyer had posed a question earlier about it not being exactly adjacent or to existing R1. Earlier discussions, I think staff is, well, is staff satisfied with the proximity being fairly close to the R1?
Seems very reasonable. I mean, even though some of the land between our subject property and the adjacent, or not, the nearby R1 district, there's, you know, quarter mile, third of a mile, something like that. The uses that are in the middle here are residential, even though they're zoned A1. So to add 9 more lots, I think that's what Mr. Hostetler is proposing, is not inconsistent with the current pattern of development and seems reasonable. So I don't think they necessarily have to touch, but it is a consistent pattern of development.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Can we approve a shop just before you get to this, it's never been built?
Mr. Weaver, on the property that is this 5542A, I think that's the one, has a approved site plan for a paint shop. Small building that he's put up there for that. And while he's been pursuing that, progress is slow. I don't know if that will come to fruition or not.
Yeah, I will say, I did pose the question, when I served on the board the first time, a few years ago. That was one of the criteria, that it did have to be next to the one. After an investigation, I found that many sites have been, that's not consistent, that's not the policy. That's the reason I posed the question.
Okay.
Again, back in 25 years ago, that was pretty much. That's correct.
Okay.
Chairman, I got a question for that. So you will pursue with including with the health department to make sure that the little situation, including class 3
Correct, yeah. This was really, our thought process was, let's just see, you know, what's possible. And we didn't want to dump a lot of resources into it, obviously, because that would be unfortunate. But the idea was just take the first step, see, hey, you know, could this be done possibly? And then if so, the next step would be then to, you know, obviously everything has to be cleared by the health department. Anything, you know, that we do.
So have you done any soil work?
We have done for like drain field work. You know, we've done a little bit of that, and that's all been approved and come back good.
Obviously, you can see the concern.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
Pardon the interruption, gentlemen. Can we make sure you have a microphone on? We're having a hard time hearing you online.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So obviously, you can see the concern, right? Obviously, with the water table and being right next to a landfill, even though they're lined and everything, you know, issues do happen. So,
Sure.
And to your point, you want to make sure as a builder, you want to be as safe as possible. It's your reputation, and people have to live with that down the road.
100%, yeah.
Thank you.
And we have looked at, you know, the whole thing of, you know, I was born and raised here, and as long as I can remember, there have been houses around there.
Sure.
And I'm not aware of any issues. Now, maybe there have been, but that gives us some, you know, confidence, you know, because of the amount of housing that's around there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Further questions for the applicant or Mr. Nichols? Any further comments, Jet or Everybody good on you? All right, are there any public comments on this specific case? Anyone online? No one in the audience? All right, going once, going twice. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
And then Alan will reach out for the next one, since that'll be the hearing, so.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, moving on, case number ZOA-02-26-02, Janine Jensen, use not provided for, single-family residence in a B1. This is the second workshop. Evans Okerson, on behalf of property owner Janine Jensen, has applied for a use not provided for to convert a building that is currently being used as a business office into a residence on property identified as Madison County Tax Map 55-24 and further identified as 27 Jack Shop Road. The subject parcel is 3.567 acres and is zoned B1. The Madison Code of Ordinance Appendix 1, Article 8 does not allow a single-family detached residence in the B1 zoning district by right or by SUP. Madison County Code of Ordinances Appendix 1, Article 14-7 allows for an application to be made for a use not provided for. After considering the application, the Planning Commission shall recommend to the Board of Supervisors to amend the ordinance to allow use by right, by SUP, a rezone to allow the use, or to deny the use. Mr. Nichols?
All right, so just to kind of frame the discussion for this evening. The business district does not allow a single-family residence in its current form. So in considering the comprehensive plan and how we've decided to execute our growth and the intent of the zoning districts, you need to decide whether a single-family dwelling as a special use permit is simply incidental, rare, and an acceptable thing, or if doing so would circumvent the intent of the comprehensive plan and the zoning districts in general. So that is really the framework for the conversation, for you to make a recommendation of which one of the four options you would like to recommend to the Board of Supervisors.
Alan, the question, obviously the intent would be one, you want to be there, and obviously the verbiage, because of the way this structure is set up, it doesn't fit the criteria. Is it possible to approve this site only and not change the code or the ordinance at all?
So to make an exception to the rule, you're implying a variance, and variances do not apply to land use activities. It's an is or it isn't. So you have to make a rule that fits for all. You can change what the rule is, but you cannot make a land use exception for one.
Okay, thank you.
Even under a special use permit?
Well, if you decide that you want to adopt this as a special use permit, then it will be, listed among the rights as a right by special use. But then anybody who has B1 property can come in and apply for that. How you choose to approve those would be, up to you all to recommend and the board to approve, but certainly know that if you don't intend to recommend approval of any of those, do you want it or not? So whatever you decide is your decision to make, but it should be consistent.
And Mr. Nichols, the way the property is set up now, and I think I'm going to say this right, the only allowable residence, as existing language states, would be converting the upstairs of the main building, because that is a by right special use application.
Let's read it together, shall we? Okay. 8-2, here we go. Apartment house in existing structures, implying more than one. When we go into our definitions, apartment house links to multifamily, so more than one. Apartment or dwelling located in the main business structure as a secondary use and lived in by an owner, caretaker, or tenant in a single, or a single-family detached dwelling if such dwelling was lawfully built prior to the date of the special use application. So what could be done now? Something in the existing structure or the conversion, let's say, for apartments. Hit your mic and we'll talk about it. What is it?
She's not building a breezeway. I thought we did. I thought we talked about this, and it was, if we were gonna go with, adding dwelling unit to it, and then just do it as an SUP. I think it goes, even though it is in a business district, there's just no reason not to allow it. There's residential all up and down 29. And why we wouldn't give a business tools, to continue and keep going on in Madison County, I just don't see it as an issue. I mean, we've seen a couple of these. I mean, I can think of a couple of businesses, Pete, that they've gone down the path. It's just not an issue. Let's make it a special use and move on with this.
Well, I commend the guy that's trying to do it, because I rode by that place the last 3 weeks and I've looked at it, and he could have moved in there and nobody would have ever knew it. So I commend the guy for coming in here trying to do that, and I certainly don't see a reason why we shouldn't do it, not at all.
So what do we need to add, Mr. Nichols?
You will essentially be recommending an ordinance amendment to adapt a single-family residence as a special use in the business zoning district.
All right, what's wrong with that? Anybody? Hannon, tell me what's wrong with that.
Is there a way to ensure that it has to be a building that's already existing? We don't want somebody coming in, doing a special use permit and building 2 more houses on it.
I think one of the things we talked about, and Mr. Nichols, correct me on any of this, but for one way forward is, if we wanted to do this, would be at 821, is say apartment house or single apartment in existing structures only would essentially make it for this one. Or the other option would be, say, dwelling unit in existing structures only as opposed to apartment house.
Instead of dwelling unit, I
Or,
would say single-family dwelling, because we're going to talk about definitions later.
there you go.
And so concern, and let's just voice it, precedent is right now probably the biggest concern for existing B1s that could come down the road. Is that a safe assumption for panel members? But we're also hearing that panel members don't think there's a whole lot of this.
Which ones are those that are gonna flood in here and try to put residents in them? Because I don't see them, and I haven't heard it. And, I mean, it's not there. It's not an issue.
I think the concern maybe Mr. Whitman is talking about is something that get imposed on us by Richmond in terms of, but
That can happen anyway.
Yeah, what do you?
that can happen anytime. And we already have a SUP that allows for residential in business, so I
So,
don't
Mr.
know that
Nichols, do
this
we
would
have
make
to
a
have a
difference.
public hearing to change this?
It's already advertised, based on your desire at the last workshop to adopt this as a special use in the B1 district. We certainly, that could change, but based on your intention and discussion, that's what we advertised. So if that's the way you all feel as a body, we're moving forward to public hearing in a few weeks, and we'll hear it out.
So we would be looking at changing 8.1 with the addition of a single-family structure, right?
821.
821, sorry. To
Give me a
single
moment,
family
I've got the
with
draft.
Already existing.
We look at exactly how we advertised it. So you have 2 concurrent cases advertised, one of which we've advertised as a zoning ordinance amendment that says we do not allow single-family detached residences in the B1 zoning district by right or SUP. Concurrent with the application below, the Planning Commission is considering amending the ordinance to allow this use by special use permit. And so essentially, we would be adding a special use permit for a single-family dwelling in the B1 district is what we've advertised, which suits the applicant's needs and seems to follow your intent.
And then for this body, would it be a new 8, or would it be 8.2-1 amended as to say apartment house or single-family in existing structures? Just so everyone up here, I think, is
I would
confident in what we're.
intend to make it 8-2-12, but we can stick it anywhere, it doesn't matter.
8-2-12.
What we're accomplishing.
Okay, so just
It could be 8-2-1A, wherever you want to put it.
for the panel up here, everyone, maybe we even do a show of hands or give everyone a second to digest this. It would be a special use permit, let's just call it 8-2-12, where an apartment or single family in the existing structure is allowable with a special use permit. If it's existing. Everyone head nod?
Does existing include renovated?
I would say yes,
All right,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Fine.
Alan, in the 822, isn't that saying the same thing we're saying, or am I?
Now, that's what the definitions will get into with the,
Because the apartment language in here ties directly to multifamily in our definitions. That's the hiccup. We pulled this apart 6 ways from Sunday in preliminary development, trying to find a way just to run it as a regular SUP. And the language that we have in our ordinances just does not align with a single-family dwelling in B1.
What this says is that it's a single-family detached dwelling if it was lawfully built prior to the date of the special use application.
But it's not a dwelling. It was built as a storage building and will require a change of use.
yeah, that was. Okay, before we go to the applicant, then it looks like pretty much consensus across the board then, an agreement that this should be allowed as a special use permit. Jim, are you, any comment or? No. Okay, I thought you were leaning in for one. Okay, that being said, any further comments from the applicant? We may have some more questions for you as well.
Okay. I was just gonna make a comment that, I've done a few of these things over the years, and I have never had a public official say to me, this is what you need to do, but I'll take care of A, B, C, you do E, and I'll take care of the rest. And that's what Mr. Nichols, that's in my definition, true public servant. He did things that were much easier for him to do than it was for me to do. And I really appreciate it, and I think a lot of our other public officials could strive to be more like, public service oriented like he is. But-
Well, thank you.
And there was some question last time about the health department and the septic system. We found out later on, I told you it was, my wife had a system designed for 150 people for future endeavors, but after talking to the soil scientists, we found out that is not correct. That was something that got translated incorrectly. So he is coming out next week to evaluate the system, and he's going to write the recommendation up so that it's a 2-bedroom facility, but total of 3 occupants only in its current form without expanding the septic system. So I thought I'd want to clear that up because I did incorrectly state the other part before.
So the septic system is in place, it's just?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
sir. It's in place and it's in use. But he wants to verify that everything is working properly.
Further questions for the applicant?
Just make a comment briefly. Anytime a structure undergoes a change of use application through the building department, the health department usually does an SAP on that, safe and proper, to make sure that all those things are correct. And so I know the applicant's getting a jump start on that, but those things are always inspected and regulated.
Yes, I contacted the health department to get a copy of the septic plans, and they could not find anything. So that's when I contacted the soil scientist who did it, Mr. Hogg,
and he provided me with the entire workup, and I contacted the health department and forwarded it on to them. So, we are on the move with that, so.
Any further questions or comments to or from the applicant? All right, thank you, sir. Are there any public comments at all on this case? Is anyone online still? No one? All right, and then, again, I think we have a pretty good plan on what's going to happen at the next meeting from this body. Seeing head nod still, okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Am I changing the advertisement is the question.
Oh.
If the
Do-
answer is no, let's say then we're good.
I don't see any, I don't think we are, yes. No,
right,
the
very
answer is
good.
no. We're good. We're good. All right, moving on to the next case. Case number RZ-03-26-01, Brent Lohr, rezoning application, and this is a first workshop. Nathan Webster, on behalf of Brent Lohr, has applied to rezone the parcel located at 531 Cedar Hill Road and further identified as Madison County Tax Map 40-108A from B1 with conditions to just B1. The subject parcel is 3.522 acres. The purpose of the rezoning is to restore the full rights associated with B1 properties that were proffered away during prior rezoning action in February of 1991. Mr. Nichols.
All right, so first workshop on this one. This is the property that is currently Greenscapes. So it is zoned B1 with conditions. A copy of the original permit and the minutes from that meeting are in your packet. The only two rights on the property now, agricultural supply store, and I believe it was retail sales. So the property's for sale. There is a purchaser lined up for the property who would like to place a service business there. And so in order to close that sale, the property owner is trying to rezone it to have all of the B1 allowable uses there. Agent on behalf of the applicant is here tonight, and so I'm sure he'll be happy to go over any of your questions of intent.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Nichols from the panel before we go to Mr. Webster? Mr. Webster, would you like to approach and provide any comments or information you feel deemed necessary?
We're trying just to get it rezoned back to B1 without conditions, so the potential buyer can put his roofing business on the property.
Any questions from the panel?
No, I mean, Nathan doesn't care. I asked him if, anything, but your buyer is Nathan Cowan, who sits up here. If he were here, he'd be recusing himself from the conversation. He said roofing, I didn't know that. Well, I asked him first, I didn't mind.
Perfect. Okay, are there any questions to the applicant? I know this one is pretty straightforward. And we,
Been that way for a long time.
yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, good, let's do this, move on.
All right. All right, you got an easy one.
So
Thank you for coming.
if you are so easily satisfied on this one, do you want me to schedule the applicant for another workshop, or do you want me to just schedule the public hearing?
Okay, if we can fast track this one, I think we should fast track it,
It's
right?
not gonna happen any faster, but he doesn't have to come in from out of town to do another workshop if you don't have anything for him.
Yeah, let's save the environment, save some gas.
So are you satisfied?
Well, should we do a show of hands?
So Alan, the only proffer they had was to keep it as a ag store, right? I mean, that's the only proffer that they.
And retail.
No.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dyer, I have a hard time hearing you.
I said the only proffer that they had was to keep it as an ag store, right? It was all the setbacks, all
Ag store,
the.
retail sales, it was a land use issue, not a setback or anything else issue,
Right,
no.
yeah, they just want to keep that, that's what I thought.
Correct.
If the timetable is the same, I don't think we should fast track it, but we should pass along to the applicant that his presence is not required unless we get in touch with him with
Other,
a bunch of questions.
I like that better.
It keeps us, you talk about precedence, we
Yeah.
should keep with this, it's working.
and that checks all your boxes?
I would recommend that we go through the normal process, particularly because if there is a PC member that's involved, we don't want to make it even look like we're trying to
Fair point.
favor somebody.
This is why we pay you the big bucks. Would you mind driving back one more time? And okay.
No. Can we take a straw poll if we need him back, and if we need him back, then we'll go through Alan to,
I'm in this area like once every 2 weeks with work in Orange, so it's not a big deal if I need to come back for the next week.
I would have asked for anybody else too, by the way, so easily satisfied.
Okay. So on the record, Mr. Nichols would have asked for anybody else. We hear what you're saying, Hannon. Straw poll then, if we want the applicants, Mr. Webster, to come back the second go-round or not. So if you want him to come back, raise your hand.
Well, wait a minute,
Yeah.
let's clarify it. We want him to come back, right, just what we.
no,
For-
I want to advertise just like a normal
He don't
workshop,
have to
like.
come back.
But he doesn't
He
have to
doesn't
come.
have to come back until he hears from Alan Nichols.
That's right, I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, all right.
Council's okay with that for the counties?
Very good.
We got a way to get in touch with them if we got questions, right?
Yep.
So now your point will be Mr. Nichols, kind of as always, and,
Or we can do it and the applicant can attend remotely. and
okay,
that's
yeah,
that.
If I need to, I have no problem coming back.
All right.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public, we didn't have public comment on this one, I didn't ask, but you're good. You're good. Get out of here. Thank you.
All right.
All right, final case of the night. Case number SU-03-26-01, Shannon Lillard, special use permit application. This is the first workshop. Shannon Lillard has applied for a special use permit for a pet grooming and kennel facility on property identified as Madison County Tax Map 57-28 on Good Hope Church Road. The subject parcel is 59.136 acres and is zoned A1. A kennel is a special use in the A1 zoning district under Madison County Code of Ordinances, Appendix 1, 4-2-1, and Appendix 1, 3-2-16. Mr. Nichols.
All right. So in this case, I became aware that the applicant has been doing dog grooming and boarding for some time. We had a conversation, and she became aware she needed a permit. So she is experienced in her business, and she is coming to us to operate in accordance with our ordinances. And so the application is there. She is proposing to construct, I have a site plan in here somewhere, construct a 30 by 50 building. Has a rough concept of what this will look like. We, of course, will require a site plan, before construction if the permit is approved. Applicant in her narrative has said no more than 30 animals. And so discussion will, on this one, be just like we have on any other kennel, talk about neighbor issues and what have you. For what it's worth, I do already have 2 public comments, letters that were submitted in support of the project that are in the information packet here. Other than that, I encourage you to speak to the applicant and ask her to tell you about her business.
Point of privilege.
I'm sorry, point of privilege. I have been a client of the applicant in the past. Should I recuse myself?
Right.
I would say that depends on whether or not you think you can be objective when you are deciding on this.
Sure. I can be objective. My dog didn't come back with pink ribbons, so. I can be objective.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Questions for Mr. Nichols specifically first before we go to the applicant? All right, seeing none. Welcome, and if you'd like to give a little.
Shannon Lillard, in Madison, Arota. Yeah, as Alan said, I've been doing this a really long time. I wasn't aware that we had to have a permit, but it kind of happened at the right time because we were getting ready to try to build. So, like I said, my main goal is just to kind of keep providing services to the community that I've already been. We are friendly with all of our neighbors. We pretty much work for almost all of our neighbors on our street. And, as far as traffic, the traffic shouldn't change because this is about what we've already been doing. So traffic, noise, all of that stuff. We've been doing it for a really long time. And I've been a groomer since 2002. I've house sit and pet sit. I still dog walk, pet sit. And I've been doing that since I could ride a bike to the neighbor's house. So, and I'm about 45 now, so long time. But yeah, that most of my clients, like I said, we're kind of just wanting to deal with clientele we've already had for a long period of time.
Thank you very much. And the good news is we had a recent kennel that was, came before the board not too long ago, so a lot of precedent has been set and questions have been answered. But at this point, questions specific to this case of the applicant?
The only question I had made note of, is that the pets will be indoors, so that's not going to be an issue for the neighbors. Again, I know you're in the country, I know it's ag, and I know it's a lot of property and whatever, but
Yeah.
that note was in there. I was just confirming that that is the intent.
Yeah, heating and air conditioner indoors. Like most of my clientels have, indoor dogs, small dogs. So that's mostly what we deal with. Occasionally we do get some big dogs that are outdoors, but most of my clientele, yeah, it's indoor. So it's going to be kind of like a frou-frou facility. But yeah, all indoors. We're going to plan on putting concrete, heat and air conditioning. And, obviously we're going to have a refrigerator for dogs that have medication. I worked at a vet's office years ago, so I'm really familiar with how to give medication, diabetic shots. So we should be able to handle all of that. Yeah.
Good luck, wish you well.
Thank you.
I do have one just question on expansion. I mean, it sounds like you've been kind of at this level for a while, and this is maybe what you're comfortable with. But if this does well, or plans to expand on the property or grow?
A little, not much. Like I want to be able to pass the business on to my son. I doubt he'll want to be a dog groomer, but that's the boarding aspect, I hope. But yeah, a little bit, but not too much, just because I only want to keep it kind of personal. I don't want it to get so far out of control that I don't know the clients' names and know everybody personally. So yeah, mostly on a small scale. Like I said, it might be a little bit of an expansion just because we'll have room, but yeah. And I plan to just have a couple employees, but mostly I want it to be family owned. So, at some point my son and maybe my brother, things like that.
Okay.
Very personal.
And Mr. Nichols, I think it stated 30 animals.
Yeah, 30. And that's honestly like, I don't know how well you know like boarding industry at all, but you usually don't get that until it's like, vacation season, Christmas season. The rest of the year, you're just running, usually a pretty low number. Like I've worked at a whole lot of kennels, and you're lucky if you have like 5, 10 in a regular cycle of boarding. And then, like I said, when you get, the only reason you really want to have that much space is because when you get that overflow from Christmas and vacations, that's kind of what helps you on your off season.
And so I guess on the expansion, you're not looking at 100 animals at any point? I mean, nothing
No.
huge growth, okay?
No, that'd be way too much, yeah. No.
Is it just dogs, or is it other animals as well?
We occasionally have done some cats. My husband does not want me to do cats, so we're not settled on that. But there is a possibility of having a small area for cats. It wouldn't be but like 4 cats, because it would just be a small room that they could have, 4 individual for boarding cats. And I most likely will still groom cats, wash cats.
Okay.
But yeah.
You said it's maximum of 30. Is
Yeah.
that 30 boarding animals, or is that a mix of boarding and?
I just was thinking about the boarding aspect on that end. Yep. Usually, for my personal self, as far as grooming dogs, 6 or 7 dogs is usually what I do a day. So that's just, for grooming appointments. But those are going to cycle out. Like you have somebody come in at 9, they leave at 11, somebody else comes in, they leave a couple hours later. So those dogs are cycling out, not really staying. So I really didn't, count them in with the, usual clients that will be there overnight boarding.
Okay, so essentially, the new building that you're planning that's been triggered by this, that's primarily the boarding facility?
Yeah, it would be like, would probably be, it'd be several rooms. You'd have a lobby, you'd have a grooming room, you'd have the kitchen area, where you do your laundry, and then the dog boarding area would be separate.
Okay, so it will have the grooming in that building too? So
Yes,
you're
in the building.
putting
Yep.
everything in this building?
Yep,
Okay.
everything in the building.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question. So we've had a couple kennels come through here in the last couple of years, and the same questions have come up as to outside runs. the ones that are gonna be boarded, are they gonna be able to run outside at night? For, neighbors have talked about
Yeah.
dogs outside barking in the middle of the night and
So I've worked at
such.
a lot of kennels, and they don't. Some places I've worked at, we've had dogs if they have access to outdoor areas. Sometimes they get loose, so I find that rather unsafe. What I do, and what I've always done, and several places that I've liked that I preferred have done, is they just get to go out in the fenced area 3 to 4 times a day, and then usually me or sometimes my husband, like. Right now, when we walk our dogs in our fenced area, we usually just stay out there with them because you're gonna wanna scoop the poop as they go. You don't wanna have to find it later. So, yeah, usually they're monitored the whole time. And like I said, we've never had a noise complaint. I mean, it's gotta be like 11 or 12 years that we've been doing this. And like I said, we work for all of our neighbors. We've never really had a noise complaint because the dogs are in and out. Nobody's left out to bark. And then if they are barking like that, they're just getting stressed out and they need to come in anyway. So, yeah.
Ms. Lillard, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is it your husband that's the actual deeded owner of the property?
It is, yes. He owned the property before we got married, yes.
Okay. And I'm assuming he's good with all this?
Yeah, we work together. Yeah, he's just with our toddler right now.
Could I
Didn't
ask,
think y'all wanted to-
could I ask you all to work with Mr. Nichols to get his signature on
Oh, yeah.
the application, just to make sure he's, because
Yeah.
it's, I know y'all are married, but if he's
Sure.
the only owner, as far as the deed is concerned, then we'll need to make sure he's assenting to this.
Yeah, sure, no problem at all.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Mhm.
I have another question. I happen to know this property.
Sure.
You're not planning on doing this where the existing house and outbuildings are. You're looking at the kind of the top of that hill up toward the road?
Yes, sir, yeah. And we want to put an automated gate so that people can drive in and it's fenced, so their dogs can't escape into the road or to neighbor's property.
Okay, the reason I bring that up is from, as Mr. Snyder said, from previous experience, you're going to have two things to contend with the neighbors, and you do have residences around that area. One is going to be noise abatement, and the other thing is going to be containment of the animals.
Yeah,
And this location is putting you a lot closer to the other houses around that particular corner there.
yeah.
Can you go through that a little more specifically?
Well, we have talked to all of the neighbors there, the one on the right across the gravel road, the one straight across from us, and the ones behind there, and the one, we've spoken to everyone. So as far as they've said to us, like I said, we worked with most of them, that they don't have any issue with it. Like I said, as far as the noise goes, we are only gonna be putting no yard is gonna have like a bunch of dogs. It'll just be one dog, and we hope to have 3 yards from that picture, and it'll just be one dog in each yard. And like I said, we're always gonna be there to monitor them if they seem like they're being extra noisy. And then, of course, being indoors is gonna help keep the quiet down. And then, of course, from wherever the dogs are boarding, from the lobby, it's gonna be, blocked off. So just the visual line of sight being blocked off will help from the noise too. And then we'll always play we play radios throughout our house now just because it's easier. The dogs can't hear a pin drop, so they won't bark a little bit less.
Any additional questions on the special use
You're
permit?
doing this now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I drive past this like every day, multiple
you
times a
don't
day.
know
I would never know. We will see how well you get along with your neighbors.
We do. We get along well
we'll
with our
check on
neighbors.
that real quick, but, I mean, no idea. I mean, you never see any traffic or anything. I
We
mean,
spread
no idea.
everybody out. We're pretty good at managing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in the industry a long time.
Crazy.
I've worked for a lot of shops. I've seen what I don't like and what I do like, so I appreciate it, yeah.
All right, any final questions? Seeing none. Any public comment on anyone in the hallway? Nope. It looks like-
Follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So before the next workshop, for special use permits, I like to draft a copy of the permit for you all to review before we go to public hearing. Do you want to see conditions outlined on Ms. Lillard's permit that look like she's described? Do you want to see maximum 30 animals, substantially conform to the concept presented, et cetera? What do you want to see on that permit?
I personally feel it's a good idea too. We can get a quick, yeah, I think it's,
But it's easier to discuss it now
Easier.
than it is the closer we get.
then, if you don't mind, yeah, please. And then I guess we probably need to ensure that the husband's signature is on there as well, just
I'll
since
do
it's been
that.
brought up as well, so. yeah.
We'll make sure that happens.
Yes, please.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Thank you, ma'am.
Address to Mr. Nichols again. I don't think this entrance has changed much in the past 100 years, so is this going to be a problem for introducing more traffic on that driveway?
We will find out.
Yeah.
Because when the construction of the building is proposed, we will ask for a site plan. This is commercial activity, so it's subject to the requirements of an engineered site plan. And a copy will be provided to VDOT and the Health Department for review. We'll get comments from both of those agencies. The plan will have an estimated trip count attached with it, and VDOT will make recommendations on what should happen with the entrance along with that. So that is a bridge that we will cross when we get there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. All right, we'll jump into the R3 and R4 rezoning conversation. I'll just kick it off to you.
Hang on, I'm trying to find my cursor. There we are. Oh, you're just kicking this one? Okay.
Do I need to read these?
It's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
I think I'll save us all the time we can save tonight.
All right, very good. So as we briefly discussed at the joint meeting, we had a question involving the statement of intent, here we go, involving the statement of intent for the R3 district, where it was proposed to make a change. So in the paragraph in red up here, it currently says an R3 zone shall only be established where public and water and sewer facilities are planned available. We talked about a potential change. The proposal for R4 says an R4 zone shall only be established where public water and sewer facilities are available or are programmed for extension concurrent with development. This will later tie into another project going on in which we are looking at RSA adopting a water and sewer district. Work on that's ongoing and not quite decided yet. But I think that we're going to get there. So rather than tie it into a service district, which doesn't quite exist yet, I think that the language programmed for extension concurrent with development makes sense, but certainly for you all to discuss. So my preferred action would be the third, which would be to make the language for R4 and R3 consistent.
So everyone, I take it everyone's pre-read this and digesting it pretty well.
Everyone's got their nose in the page, we're good.
Yeah.
The only comment I have right up front about this is I would prefer, I think as Jim said the last time, this third potential action, trying to make some continuity in what we're saying rather than have one word, one way of saying it in R3 and another way of saying it in R4. The other question I had, there was some discussion about, I can't remember the exact wording, but we were talking about potentially designing a kind of a zone type of thing where it was, Mr. Ashley brought it up too. You said you were already working on that.
Oh, service district.
Service district, yes.
Yes, so we are actively working on that. The county administrator, myself, Mr. Elliott, and Troy Coppage those two are the RSA representatives from the board. We're working on those policies now. There's a draft map available, but it's not yet been officially adopted. It's subject to change, and so I'm reluctant to publish that at the moment.
Yeah.
But that's coming almost certainly, so.
Okay, how would, if we get to that point, would that require going back and changing this, or is there?
I don't think
do
so,
they work
because
together?
the service district would be the area in which it was programmed for
was-
extension if it wasn't there.
Okay,
and
that's
so-
my main question then.
Yeah, ultimately, what'll happen is when we get ready for our next comprehensive plan update in 4 years, then we'll tie some of those things together where that belongs as a program for extension, and then your districts will tie into that. So we'll plan where our growth will go. Or won't go, whatever it is.
That being the case, I agree with Jim that your option 3 here, just make the same statement in both.
And then, can you give us, again, walk us back on timelines and what we're looking for? I know this is the only, I guess, our final line to
I think
approve.
this is the only remaining issue.
This is the only
that I
hang-up
had
left.
to address. Inevitably, something
Yeah.
may come up. It happens, but I think that we have met the intent of what we were tasked with doing in getting to here, but.
And this will get us to the board.
The question of public utilities is relevant, given the pressures for growth to address that.
Okay. And this will get us to the board for the next hearing on time of
It will not be April, it'll be May.
the May one.
Because given that we changed content, we'll go ahead and advertise that one for the May public hearing. We're one meeting behind. Not terrible.
All right, so just consensus from the group, the edits that are proposed, which looks like it is the final nail in this coffin, at least before we take it to public hearing. Everyone feels good with this?
Are you talking about the whole R3 ordinance, or just that?
Just what the language right now we're addressing.
Well, if you have other changes within either one of these things you want to make, now is the time, because
Yeah.
otherwise we'll advertise for it, and then if we make significant changes, we'll have to quit again, so.
I got a question or maybe a comment. I've been looking around at some other places or whatever. And one of my concerns that I got is, I'm okay with 40% in a big subdivision, maybe like Al or Jefferson Home Builders want to do. But let's say a guy's got 10 acres and he's got it zoned to put apartments or townhouses, whatever it may be in there. Now, if he's got to take 40%, all of a sudden that's down to 6 acres, and you got 4 acres of open space there.
Correct.
4 acres of open space in a 10-acre piece, in my opinion, is a whole lot of space to have for 6 houses or whatever it may be there, and that's gonna look really weird by having that piece of open space there. So what I'm wondering, if we've got, say you've got 10 acres or you've got 20 acres, say up to 20 acres could be the cutoff, and you could have 20% open space in a smaller piece like that. Then after 20 acres, it moves to 40%. I just think in a smaller piece, having 40% of open space is leaving a lot of space to where something could be built. I mean, if you had an acre of a playground or 2 acres of a playground in a 10-acre space, I mean, you've got plenty of open space that you're giving the people something to do.
If I were a developer and I bought 100 acres and the requirements were so that I only had to have 20% open space on a smaller parcel, I would cut off 20 acres and I would develop that at 80% coverage. And when I finished, I would start a new project with the next 20 acres, and I would develop that at 80% coverage, and you have circumvented the intent of what you all worked to put together for your open space. So
Yeah,
I
but
think that it
each year-
scales.
Each year, you gotta wait when you start cutting that off. You can't just start cutting that piece up right from the get.
I mean, if
He's
you
gotta wait a
complete your
long
project-
time before he gets it all cut up.
I mean, I disagree. I think
I
that
disagree with 40.
it scales, okay?
Is it 4 and 10 in R1?
No, there's
Yeah,
no
it
limit.
doesn't matter. It's not 4 and 10 in R1. So they can cut it as many times as they can. The only contrast to this, I think we are talking about changing density in Madison County, and I agree with you when it pertains to, your analogy. It's good, it's easy to understand. The other side of it is if we start with this on the slow side, talking about density, we can always go back and change it based on the prerogative of the board or an applicant. I know that's a slow way to do it, but
It just makes it a lot harder to develop a piece of land at 10 acres and leave 4 acres out with the infrastructure that you gotta build to do that. The dollars just don't work.
So really, you're looking at it as a graded amount. So if it's 20 acres or less, you'd be looking at the 20 or 30%, say.
Right.
If it's over 20 acres, you'd be looking at the full 40 to prevent what Mr. Nichols was talking about. Is that where you're going with that? Yeah.
All right, just so everyone, on page 88, Pete's referencing the 7-3-2-1, the minimum open space line. Since it's been brought up, did we, taking Mr. Elliott's comments and statements on 7-3-2-1, do we want to look at that or keep that the same? What's the consensus?
Just a quick question on this. The 40%, and I'm trying to read this off of here, of what we're proposing is of the total gross project area. Is that the way it's worded? All right, that means that any yard space, front yard, backyard, any open space is part of that total for the gross area, right? I mean, it's not some specific thing like Pete says, set aside an
Excluding
acre for.
highway medians, things like that.
Yeah, no paved areas or things like that, right?
Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, our goal was to maximize the open space, the directive that we were given from the board, not to find a way to circumvent it. So I have a hard time supporting the idea of going back and trying to find a way to make it easier to cut up parcels and cover more of the ground.
One sidebar here, and we're going to go into definitions next. Is total gross project area defined in our, I'm trying to think if that was in your list, Alan.
I definitely worked up a couple of draft here. Gross project area is in your packet in that chart there. Total contiguous land area included within the boundaries of a proposed development project as shown on an approved site plan or subdivision plat prior to the deduction of open space, streets, right-of-ways, easements, floodplains, et cetera. It's there for you to look at, coming from the American Planning Association and a small change from the Albemarle County Land Use Law Handbook.
And I guess question on that, so it will be policed in the site plan?
Yes.
So that's, or there is a level of policing that on?
Oh, it's 100%
yeah.
accountable, because you're gonna have to show your calculations on those things. So
Yep.
when you get your site plan, it'll be a chart that shows how the engineer calculated that. So, no, it's not subjective.
And I'll make the comment too, Pete, not even a counter, but just what I saw looking through some of the information provided by Mr. Nichols and looking at my own, 40% does seem to be an industry standard. Is that a fair assessment from anyone else on the?
In rural county, there are other rural counties that do similar,
Yeah.
yes.
So a guy that's got a 5 or 10 acre piece, he might as well get it rezoned because he ain't gonna have room enough to build anything because he won't be able to afford it.
I think that's the purpose of doing that, is you get to hear proffers on these things.
Well, I thought the purpose of, we was trying to bring more housing, more people, and have more housing in Patterson. You're not gonna do it if you do that, because they're not gonna be able to afford to do it. You take a 100 acre piece and you take 40% out of it, then go run the numbers on the infrastructure and see where you're at.
I think we're trying to offset fiscal impact. We're not trying to get more houses, but if we have to have them, we're gonna offset the community impact there.
Isn't that also why we're looking at the R4? If we
Indeed.
want higher density, we have an option there.
Exactly. The whole point is to be able to hear proffers and to preserve open space.
Well, of course, starting point, as Mr. Jackson said, I mean, 40% is a pretty good stake in the ground, and if we have to learn or educate ourselves from that, then we.
I don't know, Ann's got something to say. I see you down there, I mean, I wanna hear. I just think that Pete lays out a good case, and it is with best intentions. I do think that the building community would certainly go down the path and cut it up as small as they could, to try to circumvent that whole intent. And that's, and where we're looking at individual personal property rights versus developers, which have the same property rights, I'd rather err on the side of caution on this one.
Ann, do you have anything?
Let me poke myself in the eye here. I've been looking at Virginia code, not just because I like to do that, but just to kind of see if there was a precedent set. And there is an Open Space Land Act, Virginia Code 10 TAC or 10.1 TAC 1700, if you're interested. And what's really interesting is that they don't identify space or allocation of size of properties that have to be let for open space when you're doing developing. But what it does do is it enables the public body like us to come and talk about the specifics, which is what we're doing right now. And it also sets the precedent that if that needs to change for each piece of property, that it is already written to be able to have the discussion if there needs to be changes to say that 40% that we have imposed on ourselves, that is something that we can amend as a public body here today. So as an industry standard, I think that one, we are preserving and staying within the, I would say, the real strategy of Madison County with the comprehensive plan. That's how I kind of looked at it. I tend to think more about families, and I appreciate, yes, I appreciate the opportunity to bust it up and have more financial opportunity, but I also think that it's important that we listen to the board's direction and the comprehensive plan when it comes to preserving that open space. And we have the flexibility to change that in the future if we need, based on this open land or open space land act.
Thanks, Ann.
And I think you're talking about, and I think 40% is close to the norm from what I've read.
Mr. Nichols, do you know, what does Page County have? Do they have, let me just walk it back in layman's term where I'm going. You showed us that multi-family, high density, in that Food Line parking lot of Elkton, and it didn't have a single bit of green space other than one little strip of grass to the park. Do they, what is, I mean, I think we went to,
Well, that particular one is in Rockingham, and
Rockingham,
I
sorry.
have not unpacked that entirely. But I can certainly get you an answer to that question, what those requirements
but
are.
I think that's what we're trying to avoid in Madison, isn't it? To have just,
Yeah, I don't think that we want just lines of asphalt and
Yeah.
townhomes everywhere. So we are trying to prevent that. But I did bring that particular property up as an illustration of the concept we were talking about that night.
from that, yeah. And I mean, I have it up on Google Maps now. There's not literally a lick of green space in that, on that whole parcel, so, and it's all asphalt or roofs, so.
Yeah, the town of Elkton does their own zoning
So
there.
it's through, okay.
I don't know what they, I'll have to go look at it specifically. I don't want to guess.
I didn't know, where I'm getting at is I didn't know if they had a 40% requirement and they circumvented it for the specific project, maybe to meet what Pete's trying to hope for individuals, or not, is where I was getting at.
I mean,
Who knows?
it's a yes or no question. Are we trying to keep the open space or not?
Okay. But, and I think on that particular one, 7-3- 2-1, we're all in agreement, then it sounds like maybe other than Pete, on 40% is a good starting point. Clay, you good? Yeah. Pete, you okay with it?
I ain't okay, but in the majority, I don't know what to say. But I ain't okay with it, I mean,
We can talk about goats. We haven't mentioned that in a while. Cover that base.
If you
I'll
put,
talk
if you
about
put goats
goats
on the
on the way home.
40%, then it's all right for Pete.
I'm all for the goats too.
All right. Any other than, we've addressed, I think, the one that Alan has up now, I think that was kind of the final line in the sand, and then that Pete has a primary comment. Are there any other additional comments on anything?
Mr. Chairman, I do. So I sent out an email to everybody, and I guess they read it. So when we start talking about by right and use regulations, I wanted to make sure everybody knew that what's down here is multifamily housing is now going to be a SUP and not by right. I didn't know if anybody had any comments on that.
Mike, what line is that?
Well, it's, that would be 727.
727, okay.
Is where it mentions multifamily dwelling.
Yeah,
under
there's 2 to 4
special
units.
use permits. And it used to be, the way it has been written in the past, is it has been a by right use regulation, multifamily housing in R3.
Any points on?
Sure. Yeah, we made that change because in a medium residential density district, we felt it would be appropriate for somebody to build a duplex, a triplex, a quad. Right? That seems appropriate for medium density. But what we were trying to prevent was a parcel with common ownership being subdivided, because remember, there's no limits on the number of subdivisions you can do here if you've got public water and sewer. We did not want multiple parcels, contiguous and common ownership, cut up to do quads on a whole bunch of these, and now you have a whole bunch of density here, when it was really designed to be, you know, a small income property here, a small income property there. And try as I might, I was not smart enough to come up with the language to fill, let's say, to define what is okay for a smattering of small income properties versus a bunch of contiguous assembled small income properties that make an apartment complex, essentially. There's examples of this up and down the East Coast where people have assembled cottages and townhomes and things to make multifamily complexes out of something that was never intended to be that way. So in an attempt to avoid that, somebody wants to build a multifamily dwelling, they come in here, they get the special use permit, they build it. We don't mind asking people to do it for their goats. We shouldn't mind asking people to do it for their quad.
I wasn't necessarily saying right or wrong, I just wanted everybody to
Point it out.
point it out, that we were changing that.
That's the why behind the what.
Yeah, okay.
And the only thing I would say to that is, I'm just not a big fan of putting a special use permit on everything. Zone it the way it should be zoned, write it the way it should be right, and go forward with it. I'm not a big fan of special use permits. All a special use permit is a right to do something that you don't have the right to do.
Well, multifamily dwelling in R4 is by right.
Correct.
So you could rezone it to R4 and away you go.
Or get a special use permit.
Right.
You got the option.
And assuming someone could go down to your hypothetical and we could actually approve 10 SUPs for, if they wanted to have, maybe if we felt that was the right thing as this body, right?
So if somebody wanted to do 10 of these things, 10 duplexes, 10 triplexes, whatever, right?
Mhm.
At that point, their process would look more, and they're gonna do it in common ownership, right? So at that point, they would be applying to rezone those
Rezone.
parcels.
And then get to where
They
Pete
would
wants to be.
assemble them into one parcel. They would execute their site plan to build them and then build them by right together for all of the benefits that provides in managing a project of that type and scale. It would not make sense for somebody to get SUPs on multiple contiguous parcels to go and build something like this out. It's
So in
just
that case, it
not
pushes
fair.
us to going to the correct zoning that Pete's
Yeah, they would
referencing.
rezone it, and then they would do it by right if somebody were seeking to do that.
And that would open it to proffers.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the only way we can overcome the fiscal impact is through conditional zoning or proffers.
All right, any other questions on the R3?
Last one I got, actually it's not, but under attached 713, attached and semi-detached single-family dwellings, one of those is going to also include the townhouse.
Negative. Well, it will,
It
but it's not
does.
multifamily because it's owned in fee simple interest, the single unit.
Well, when you look at by definition, one of those actually, and I'm trying to figure out which one it was, because a lot of these, like you wrote over here, are redundant, and I'm all for getting rid of the redundant ones. But if you go down to 7312, we talk about townhouses again. So I think that one way or the other, we should call it a townhouse or call it one or the other and not two different things. 7312.
So townhouses being, as you pointed out, a common term, I think in our definitions, we're going to do C, single-family attached, and C, single-family semi-detached dwellings, and we're going to make that reference to tie it in there to not, or to be clear, but not just totally root out the.
I'm just
common
trying to make it
vernacular.
consistent, that's all. Just trying to, we're gonna call it one thing or call it another, and not
So-
try to put two different, and that's where I got hung up on the definitions.
It's both, but the ownership interest makes a difference.
So,
All right.
one's
Tell you what,
allowed and one's not.
Can,
Do we want to
Can
address it
we,
in
can we
definition?
hold this one for 2 seconds?
get
We'll
to the
finish with our
definitions.
ordinance, and then we'll go to definitions,
Sure.
and we can unpack these together, if that's okay.
We'll come back to it.
All right, we will. Promise.
Any other than on the R3, R4? So then, just to wrap this up and put a bow on it, with the red lines, it looks like everyone's approved, or everyone has had a chance to review an agreement that this is ready to go to the board in May, pending the, of course, approval for the one tonight. Is that a
And
correct
if I
assumption?
Understood you correctly, based on those of you that commented. We're going with action 3 and being consistent with the language that's in R4 and just incorporating that into the R3 language for the
Yeah, it works.
Does,
An R4 zone, or in this case, an R3 zone, shall only be established where public water and sewer facilities are available or are programmed for extension concurrent with development, correct?
it looks like head nods, is anyone opposed to that language? No. Yes, you're
Cool.
correct. That's what we'll,
That we can do.
Alan, in
Yes, sir.
7313, it's written down as multifamily dwelling may be constructed at a density of 4 units per acre. I think you probably should change that to no more than 4 units per acre, just a little typing there.
All right, call that a minor change. We can do
Yeah.
that.
I'm just, if you're gonna put it out for public.
and I guess to Mike's point, when we go through definitions, should we all as a body think that some of the definitions are redundant or overrule, you'll amend those in there?
Yeah, we'll frame that up. I
Okay.
don't know how in the weeds we'll get on that one tonight, but we're definitely going to frame up what we need to do. We will all have some homework on that one.
Beautiful, okay. All right, then I think the R3 language, we're clear in putting it to bed and getting it to Mr. Nichols then, right? We're good.
All right, and I have made a note of Mr. Snyder's change there, so we'll do that.
All right, on to your definitions.
All right, very good. So, I don't know if any of you have taken any time to look at the Article 20 of the zoning ordinance of our definitions. They are a bit of a mess. They have some problems. There are some inconsistencies, some redundancy, some contradictory language that makes it hard to write a determination because one section says one thing and one says, one term says one thing, one term says something else. Some of our definitions have procedural requirements in it, or they have criteria that belongs in the zoning district areas, like the by right and the special use areas of the ordinance when they're in definitions instead. So those are some of the problems, but the development terms are really what we're on tonight. So what I have prepared here is I've taken our definition in our ordinance in the left-hand column, and I have proposed options of potential changes in the right-hand column. Now, some of the terms and concepts I have illustrated here for you to look at to define exactly what it is we're talking about. Sometimes we use language where we're conflating concepts, where townhouses is a great example. We say townhouses and we think about what you see here, it looks like 4 houses that are all stuck together, they all touch each other. Okay, well, if we zoom in on this little lot illustration here, and you can see that the lots extend to where each one of these homes is on its own piece of ground, can be owned independently. But if all 4 of these homes was on one piece of ground, it would be multifamily. It would be a quad, essentially. And so the ownership interest and the type of building, it makes a difference in how we put these things together. So the purpose of changing the definitions is to make sure that the intent of our zoning districts on what you can and cannot do is clear and what that means. So an update is due. What I ask of all of you is to review the definitions that I've put here. If you would like to find other definitions of existing credible sources or recognized sources that you propose, I would like you to present those for discussion going forward. So if you have another source that you like to cite these things, I would like to avoid us coming up with a definition whole cloth. I think that will create problems down the road if when civil engineers and developers are trying to figure out what they can and cannot do on a piece of property. So I've used the building code, sources from the Appraisal Institute. I've used got a works cited here at the end here. The Illustrated Book of Development Definitions is a great one. There's a number of sources we can use. So what I would encourage you to do is to look at what's here, see if you think that the terms suggested are suitable, or if you have alternatives from existing sources that you would like to present to be considered also. So we don't have to unpack the nuances of each of these tonight unless you just want to, or if you have specific questions about things. But I'd like to send that as food for thought for our next workshop discussion too. If you find things that are better or more appropriately apply, please bring that to us to discussion, so that way we can put together an ordinance amendment to bring our definitions up to today's terms and common uses.
Question for the process is, do we want to do the definitions first and do the Easter egg hunt and the language later, or is that something that staff will do, or
I mean,
what's the main ask, I guess, of the body for this one?
if you ask me to go and, modernize the definitions, I will put something in front of you and say, here, do this, if that's what you ask of me. But we have a panel of smart people here. You all know to look for different things. I think it would be nice, let's say, if some of you had sources that you knew of, liked, let's say to go and pull into this, that's fine. I've only looked at the ones that are here. I've not expanded through all of Article 20, but I know that in my day-to-day functions in determining permits and uses and what have you, there's a lot of problems that ultimately will need to go and be addressed. So at some point, it's like a 6 to 12 month initiative, right? We'll put together we'll review them and go through and look at it, and then I will present you proposed changes to clean some things up.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a long-term priority. But the immediate priority is to make sure that in conjunction with our R3 and R4 adoptions here, that we have definitions that mean our intent.
So as an example, Alan, I like examples. So we use the word townhouse throughout our ordinances right now. Definitions and under special use permit for, under R2, all that stuff. So going forward, where a townhouse would show up somewhere, you would say, C, multifamily attached dwelling or whatever.
Attached or
You-
semi-detached.
Or semi-detached.
But, yeah, townhouse is not necessarily multifamily. It's still a single-family home if it's,
Right.
on its own lot.
Right, so the layman's term, just like everybody says, a townhouse. So that's still gonna appear in our ordinances, but we will reference
When you look up townhouse, it says C.
C, exactly, okay.
Single-family
that's-
attached,
that's what I'm
single-family
talking about, yeah.
semi-detached, yes.
And then to what Mike just discovered, where townhouse is actually in the ordinance, that will either be replaced at some point in the 12-month process or would also have C, townhouse?
Now, we're gonna address this in this batch as we go.
Yeah, like 6-2-3. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Alan.
Give me a second, I have a hard time reading that way. I gotta find it here and then I'll tell you. Here we go, it's 2063, all right. So, bear with me here, I've been going all day.
I like the
I did.
pictures. I think they
Yeah.
add a lot.
Yeah,
Why, this seems like a real weird way to do this. Why don't we just walk down these recommendations on definitions and just unpack them real quick? See what we've got issues with, and then we can move on and be constructive. It's already a workshop.
Happy to do that if you'd like. We're running ahead of what we
Yeah, I
anticipated
thought,
we'd do
yeah.
tonight anyway. All right. Without objection, we've got a dwelling. You've got our current definition. And then we've got two that I found that were reasonable to pull from. The top one is from the Appraisal Institute's Dictionary of Residential Real Estate. The second one is from Virginia Board of Housing, which is the building code.
I don't like the second one.
I prefer the Appraisal Institute definition, but that's the way my brain works.
Somebody live in a camper.
No.
I think with this second definition, one of the things that concerns me is that we're talking about one or two dwelling units, and that seems to kind of confuse some of the definitions below. I'm with you, Alan. I think the first one is in more alignment of overarching. It's more inclusive than just one dwelling unit or one accessory. Like, I feel like the language gives more flexibility in how we define dwelling.
So you like the first one?
top one.
Yeah, I don't like the second one.
Okay. Further discussion?
I'm
All
not
right.
sure I like the one or more, because that leaves you open to, okay, let's see if we can't put 4 families in here.
But remember, I just, for additional context, we're saying what a dwelling is, not what's necessarily permitted.
Permitted.
Because we differentiate between a single-family dwelling as uses or a multifamily dwelling. It's just, what is a dwelling? What are we talking about?
Yeah, this is the umbrella term for all of the buildings that could house people in the future. But I think that the point is important, that if we use a definition with numbers in it, people are going to look at those numbers and go, this is how we have to look at this definition of a dwelling. I think the top one gives us that more of an umbrella term to be able to apply the differentiation as we move down to the other definitions.
Okay? I'm happy with that.
One Quick question, does it have to be, it can be realty or personalty?
What are you asking?
I'm asking if a dwelling can be personal
I'm just considering before I answer. I have to noodle it.
on wheels.
Are you asking in
Well,
layman's?
this is a structure. A camper is not a structure. It
structure.
is a vehicle.
I'm talking about a
So-
single wide or a double wide. It's got an axle, but it's on blocks.
So this is a way harder question because of like what's considered a manufactured home and,
Yeah, no, modular.
yeah, this is, I hear you, and I'm,
Well, because we're gonna have to deal with our ordinance with the
Absolutely.
new law on manufactured houses.
has Jamie,
Manufactured homes, though, Betsy, are regulated by HUD. So not just anybody can make one. And tiny homes, tiny home is a real contentious piece of language around our office. Something built on a utility trailer is not a dwelling. Doesn't meet any of the building code requirements, any of that, or any HUD standard, nothing. But single-wide manufactured homes are built to the HUD standard and are dwellings in that way. I think that manufactured home is probably worth mentioning, but
and then what about this, for the current definition, we've got this transit occupancy exception. Do we need that?
I think you're just saying what it is. I think that what's hard about doing this in this setting is that we are in here and all of our brains are wired to talk about uses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we just naturally want to gravitate to uses rather than just what is the thing.
I'd like to add that, I think a structure is not designed to be mobile.
I think
Okay.
that we can incorporate a definition while adding a note to provide clarity to, while this is the definition, this is our note of intent, rather than trying to make a ordinance whole cloth, and then as we go through, we can maybe reduce some of those. Because I understand what you're saying and trying to get at, but a dwelling is a pretty broadly encompassing term. But when you talk about land uses and trailers and things like that, we certainly have the ability to say, you know, a trailer is not a single-family dwelling. So,
But Alan,
Should
to
we
your
deal with
point,
site built and manufacturing as two different things?
They are.
or
They're
fabricated,
built to different standards, they're regulated
But
differently.
they could
If
both
a
be
trailer
done.
had if a trailer had a HUD stamp, why wouldn't it be a single dwelling?
It is. It's just
So
regulated
trailers-
differently. Well, let's distinguish between mobile homes built pre-1974, which were not built to a standard, to then once the law changed in the middle of 1974, when they had, July, whatever, of 1974, when they had to be regulated by HUD in order to be permitted as a dwelling. So that change happens. There are very few mobile homes left. There's a handful that we know of, and the Nadine Court over here has a few that have been maintained and still there, but there's just not a ton of them left. These days, I mean, everything's a manufactured home built to that standard, and they are dwellings when they're set. This is kind of why probably best suited, I mean, we can go through them certainly, but we're going to want your food for thought on this later, unless Zachary has another idea on how.
I think it's good for us to hear them at least.
And Mr. Smith,
Don't you?
20-66 may get to some of what you're talking about, just because we've had a recent enforcement one where we relied on that definition for person living in a camper. It's about single family.
A building containing one dwelling unit that is not attached to any other dwelling unit by any means and is surrounded by open space or yards, single-family dwelling.
And the building
Yeah.
got you away from that.
HB 655 is going to require us to make some amendments.
We should subcommittee this thing.
We can get it.
I hate that, because I don't want to do any more meetings either. But we should subcommittee this thing and just sit down and power through this where it's not just Alan's brain.
Hey, and Mr. Smith, can you repeat for the group what you were just saying about the new House bill?
Yeah, HB 655 deals with. Yeah, HB 655 is awaiting governor's action, deals with manufactured housing.
Is it putting me out of business, or is it going to be okay, Jim?
My suspicion is more lax.
It's going to
Okay.
require, we need to fix our ordinance.
All right, there we go. All right, so I guess, knowing that we're a very type A group and we want to get into the weeds on this, do y'all want to see, I think we're probably going to have a subcommittee proposal, or do we want to try to push through just reading through everything tonight, so, and we can hush and Alan can read, and at least it's in our mind? Or do we want to try to do a bigger workshop next time?
Give me your thoughts in writing and what you think so we can process this thing. Just going through it and trying to process it in real time.
Or maybe it makes sense we just do sort of the survey where we read through it and then we can rip it apart later.
I think at least having it in our brains would be helpful from Alan's standpoint.
Otherwise.
I mean, everybody's taking notes on this. We're certainly gonna rehash this multiple more times, I'm sure. Why wouldn't we read through? Ann's made a proposal in the first one saying that she likes the top one. Everybody's got issues with the mobile homes, so we're gonna work through that on the next round. But, I mean, I think we just go through and kind of hit the high points on some of these, and then we can come back to it at the next meeting.
All right,
Or go down the subcommittee path if you want to study it more.
no, let's
but I
not do
mean,
this up, let's try to.
How many, yeah, see, Hannon loves subcommittees, so I mean, that's a win. But we're gonna talk about this a couple more times at least. aren't we?
Subcommittee did this.
Well, and I guess, I mean.
Well,
Good.
all right. Continue just hitting the highlights.
Yeah, let's hit the
Just a once over, and then it would be nice if you got something glaring, great, but if you want to unpack the nuances of it, you can write it to me directly, we'll unpack it, and then my next staff report to you on this is going to show all of the issues that you all address, and then we can take the issues and do that
Well,
one at a time.
and I guess my point is,
And so when 5 of you look at me and go, Alan, this thing, we go, okay, we go find the options for that thing.
I mean, for my 2 cents is Madison ordinances and languages change consistently for 60 years. It's not going to be perfect the first time. So yeah, let's just hear it.
Doing the best we can.
No, it's great.
Exactly right.
Yeah. It's a living, breathing document.
Oh,
All right, Alan, you've got the wheel, and we're just riding the bus, and we're going to listen and speak
Okay.
only if we hear anything.
Fair enough.
Deal?
Attached dwelling, definition from that's illustrated here below. One family dwelling with ground floor access, outside access, attached to 2 or more one-family dwellings by common vertical walls without openings. You can't go between units.
AKA townhouse?
Sure. Dwelling multiple family, a building
We
containing.
gotta have a little quick discussion, don't we? I mean, everybody,
Unpack it.
no, I mean, everybody good with the rationale on 20-63 as proposed? In the, as far as the first reading, does that seem sort of acceptable? Yeah, good. All right, there you go. Now, let's move on.
All right, very good.
Yeah, Lord.
Multiple family, a building containing 3, I see a problem in my own writing here. We're going to say a building containing 2 or more dwelling units,
Thank you.
including units that are located one over another.
We're going with 2 on that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Further discussion.
That's good.
All right. Dwelling semi-detached. Going to refer to the illustration up here as we talk about it. A one-family dwelling attached to one other one-family dwelling by a common vertical wall, with each dwelling located on a separate lot. You just don't have any setback, they touch each other.
That's what it is.
See, look at this, they're not all bad.
Alan, a quick question to, I
Yes,
think,
sir.
I can't remember if Mr. Jackson or Hannah brought it up, but Do you have illustrations for all, because the illustrations are, especially with like with the one lot and the multiple lots?
I have illustrations for a lot of these things. I put the key points of discussion in here. I can come up with more.
Oh, they're great, I mean, they're helpful the way you have it framed.
Yeah, for the visually oriented, we'll probably.
I mean, there's nothing like a picture to illustrate the comment, to illustrate the concept. I totally get it. And I'll go through some of my education library stuff and try to pull more. All right, dwelling single family.
No.
See what it reads now, a residential building containing only one dwelling unit not occupied by more than one family. Out of today's definitions, it should read a building containing one dwelling unit and that is not attached to any other dwelling by any means and is surrounded by open space and yards.
That's clear.
Here's what I would ask it, building, is building defined anywhere, or is that?
I have not defined building.
Structure.
Is it defined somewhere? Sure, I'll get you a Merriam-Webster in there, we got you.
Structure.
Are we gonna use it interchangeable with structure or not?
That's what, that was my.
We can,
Because an ADU could be a structure, and
oh, don't start ADUs tonight, Jim.
Well, let's start that next week.
I can do that, but I'm not prepared to talk about that tonight.
I was getting what Gardy said, is the structure of building, so that.
I keep promising Cardi a conversation on that, so
No,
we'll
no.
have to make good on it one of these days.
Let's get through budgets first.
Fair enough.
By next year, the state will probably require us to have a
I'd love to have this conversation, but another night. Are we good on single family?
Working on that.
All right. Dwelling, single family attached. So 20-67 is in our ordinance now. And I think it's redundant. Either this one or the other one is redundant. But this is one of the things I was trying to convey, as in, some of the requirements in here should be in another part of the ordinance and not in the definitions. It needs to be a site plan requirement or in one of the zoning districts. So I suggest we nix this one in favor of what else is already in there.
I agree, and doesn't this go to ownership as well? Doesn't this kind of allude to townhome or attached home ownership? It doesn't have to, it's not,
It's convoluted.
right. Strike it.
Whack it.
Yay, that's what I wanted to hear. All right. Dwelling two-family. So current definition, structure arranged or designed to be occupied by two families, the structure having only two dwelling units. Proposed to be a building on a single lot containing two dwelling units, each of which is totally separated from the other by an unpierced wall extending from ground to roof, or an unpierced ceiling and floor extending from exterior wall to exterior wall, except for common stairwell exterior to both dwelling units. The purpose is that the units are bifurcated.
This is Shell, or this is Aroda, that we just approved. To a T, right?
Yes. Yep, the units are bifurcated. The difference in like, and a good example would be, if you have like a ranch-style house, and it has a finished basement in it, with kitchen and bedrooms and all that sort of stuff in it. If you can walk back and forth freely between the two, you have an accessory unit. If they're bifurcated and they're each their own space, you have to go outside to get in and out, their utilities are metered separately, then you've got a two-family dwelling. But that's what that all means. Yep. We can really throw you for a loop, and we can substitute the term duplex there if you like. Or also known as,
We could put that in parentheses.
so. But that is a two-family dwelling. All right. Next one here, two-family limited. I have no idea how this came to pass. I don't like it. I'd like to get rid of it. I don't, it's where I'm at.
Good for that.
Cool. All right, so 2069, currently dwelling unit. One or more rooms in a structure designed to provide living and sleeping accommodations for an individual or a family. I think it should read, a single unit providing complete independent living facilities for one or more persons, including permanent provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation. And we pulled this straight out of the building code.
I like that. But what we have right now would cover boarding houses, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Would this just get into?
So they're not covered
hotels
anywhere else?
At all? Would this impact hotels at all? Is this the, no, completely?
No, we're just, what is it? Not a, what is an appropriate use?
I would
So-
have it read consistent as we have dwelling at the top. It has a little bit of a variation between living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation. I just think that we should have the same order of words when we're writing that definition, if that makes sense.
So you want to tie 2069 to the dwelling unit definition, is that right?
Pick one.
Well, the dwelling is the whole, so if you have multiple units, you know, is it one unit? Or if it's three
Yeah,
units?
I'm just saying that whatever sequence of words that we say, cooking, bathing, toilet, and heating facilities were necessary, it should read exactly the same in 20 TAC 69.
I think that's a reasonable change. Let's say I will look at that and draft something.
Two different sources, that's why it's different.
Yeah. That makes sense. Further discussion on dwelling unit. All right, so dwelling unit modular, this doesn't need to be here. It's my opinion that this is just a method of construction and belongs in, for building code issues. This is not really a zoning matter. Modular homes are built the same as site-built homes, or, I mean, they're built differently, but they're treated the same. Anywhere you can put a site-built home, you can build them modular and bring them in.
So your point earlier, modular fabricated will be in some text on the site plan, is what you're envisioning for the
Yep.
future?
It doesn't even,
but
doesn't even
modular-
matter.
Yeah, it's not manufactured, it's,
No, manufactured homes are built to the HUD standards, modular homes are built to local building codes off-site and brought in. So,
yeah, scratch it.
all right. Dwelling unit, seasonal home, this is another one that I, or,
Sectional, not.
sorry, sectional. This is another one that I think is unnecessary. It essentially ties into modular, doesn't need to be in the zoning ordinance. We don't care for zoning purposes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm seeing nodding heads, so I'm gonna move on.
Scratch it, yeah.
Townhouse. Mike, I told you we'd get back to it.
There you go.
All right. Current definition, one of a series from 3 to 10 attached dwelling units under single or multiple ownership separated from one another by parallel continuous, you can see it here. I would like to simply go to see the dwelling attached, dwelling semi-detached.
Good.
I do think this is another opportunity where we can delineate the difference in townhouse being something that is singularly owned, where we can talk about ownership, not what it actually, we are talking about a attached dwelling, but townhome actually refers to the owner of said attached dwelling.
It depends. So, I see where you are, and I see where Mike is on here. Because the ownership type makes a difference in what you want to permit. You may be comfortable permitting townhomes with, you know, single-family homes essentially that are just attached. Multifamily exists where you have, you know, touching units like this that look like townhomes. They're all on one parcel. And it's different. I see your friction point there. I need to noodle how to do that and how to delineate in language. But let me go back and sit there in the office and look at it for a minute, and we'll unpack that some more. What's that?
like a nuance like condo versus?
Condominiums are a different type of ownership entirely too. So you don't own the ground. The association owns the ground. You own the right of occupancy to a particular portion of it. And what'll really blow your mind is a single-family home can be a condominium. So.
No, don't do that.
And co-ops are different still.
And co-ops are different still, yes. So, but again, that's not for tonight.
Hey, Alan, before you move on to project area, is dwelling two-family, being we have a definition for it, is that gonna be in a use regulation for R3? Or we're gonna have a definition and it's not gonna be listed anywhere?
It needs to coincide with duplex. But yeah, I mean, it's synonymous. What did we say in R3 for that? I'm sure that duplex is, or two-family dwelling is
R3, we just
there.
have single-family detached, we're all single-family there. Until we get down to special use permits, and then we get to the multifamily, but we do have a definition for dwelling two-family.
I mean, multifamily, 2 to 4 units, acceptable, so it'd be a two-family, you know. I mean, it would be dwelling multiple family, up to 2. So it still works with what's here.
Yeah.
Make me second guess myself, Mike.
Yep.
All right, let's see. So, and I need to unpack your townhouse question a little bit more, but give me a minute to think about it. And then we will do just that. All right, who else do I have homework for on townhouse? All right. Gross project area. So, while I definitely try to use all the recognized sources without doing anything whole cloth, I had to do a small blend here to make the intent of our open space ordinances clear. And Mr. Carpenter brought up a good point in defining these things earlier. So I had proposed definitions of total project area, gross acre of site area, and then the total lot area, and exactly what we were talking about on those things, because we referenced those in the new ordinances. So gross project area, the total contiguous land area included within the boundaries of the proposed development project as shown on an approved site plan or subdivision plat prior to the deduction of open space, streets, right-of-way easements, floodplains, stormwater facilities, other internal improvements, and inclusive of all land developed to residential lots, common areas, internal streets, parking, and required open space. The whole project.
I think we should identify too that we are talking about what zone, unless it covers all of them.
So this is referenced in open space because it says as a percentage of gross project area.
Right.
Yes, and so that is in that R3 ordinance in that section.
Maybe that should be something in, that we parenthetically reference, that just to have our kind of ducks in a row when we're looking for definitions and stuff like that, that we are referencing that this is covered in R3 and R4.
So you're proposing adding language that says, as referenced in?
Correct.
Okay. We can.
I think the other way around would be appropriate.
Or that.
Yeah,
Either
I like
way,
that.
it should be,
Defined.
Yeah,
yes.
or as defined in parent.
I see that as a minor change. I think we can do that without changing anything. Are you comfortable with that, doing it
Yeah, for
opposite the way
sure.
Jim proposed? Okay.
A question on that, Alan, are some of those paragraphs in the R3, are we gonna have more language? I mean, is it gonna be half definition and then half reference? I mean, are we gonna have like 20 references in some of those?
I'm gonna
paragraphs?
put a little numerator next to it for my footnote to refer to it. We're not gonna add a whole bunch of words there. We're just gonna create a reference. I wish the whole ordinance was annotated. It would make my job so much easier. But eventually,
In all of our order.
I suppose we'll get there.
The day
Maybe.
The day you retire AI.
That's a career-long project, you know. But I'll leave it well for the next person. All right. Why do you think I keep handing you all this stuff? You gotta put up with me. All right. Gross acre of site area. An acre of land calculated from the total site area of a parcel or parcels subject to a development application measured prior to the deduction of internal streets, parking areas, open space, environmental features, or other site improvements, but excluding land dedicated or reserved for public right-of-way outside of the boundaries of the parcel. So, there you have it. But we use this term in our ordinance, and so we have attempted to define it here. Again, pulling it from APA and Albemarle County land use law.
Yeah. Where's that one even referenced? Is it?
I'm pulling it up right now because I was remembering myself.
I think we referred to gross site area. I'm not sure that I remember.
7-3-1, no development within this district shall have a density greater than 4 dwelling units per gross gross acre of site area. So it is your units per acre density in which we made this reference. What we're including, what we're not. It's coming back to me now.
Everyone's shaking their head, that's good.
People falling asleep.
That's just Steve nodding off.
Yeah.
Total lot area. The total horizontal land area contained within the boundary lines of an individual lot or parcel as recorded in a subdivision plat or deed, excluding any land within the public street right-of-way, but including all buildable and non-buildable portions of the lot. So in other words, we had lot coverage requirements for, you have a big subdivision and you cut it up individual lots. We had requirements for what your building could do on the lots versus what open space was when measuring it against the entire project area, was what we're delineating here. All right, very good. That was as far as I got on definitions. They were the most glaring ones that, and I don't have too terribly many notes here to go follow up with you on, but we have a few key points that we'll look at, and you and I will talk, I'm sure. And,
I'll get the APA site for the bibliography for you.
sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Got that.
Yep, sure enough. I did not give credit where it was due for APA or Albemarle.
Yeah, you have that one? I'll do that as well.
Sure, I can put that together. That's no problem.
My R3 folder.
All right, anything else, Mr. Chairman, that I can do to facilitate this one?
Killing those trees,
No.
aren't you?
great work, I know.
Yeah, it's very good.
Gotta start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere.
It's always good to start with the finish.
Some of them we're good on, some of them might need a little.
Start with authoritative sources,
There
that's
you
kind
go.
of nice.
That helps too.
Yeah, that definitely helps. If you all, but say, as you have thoughts, have, as Jim said, authoritative sources. That definitely helps Mr. Wright out too, because believe it or not, these issues get unpacked when we do enforcement actions and determinations and appeals and what have you. So, yeah, being clear is kind to everybody.
And historically, our ordinances have been stolen without attribution, so.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. A little bit of a tweak going forward on upcoming public hearings and information correspondence. Only if something is relevant, new, or has some type of unique change, will we go through these. Otherwise, Mr. Nichols will point out that we do have some upcoming public hearings and workshops. Is that fair enough to say, Al?
Yep, we label them, you read them, you have questions, we'll talk about it.
Beautiful. We are efficient there. That's right. Okay, any other items from planning commission staff or?
I got a question I wanna ask Mr. Wright. Do it. And I've run into this up north. If I got an open space here and I wanna bury utilities through that open space, can I do that and it still be called open space?
So
Pervious land.
so you're still retaining ownership of it. You're not you're not titling any of that property over
We
to
built the
utility.
subdivision and we got open space. And we need to add something on down the road further. And we wanna bring utilities, which will be buried, you'll never see, through that open space. Can you do that?
I would think so. What would be the reason why it
Well, I
would be?
mean, you're in open space you're not supposed to use, and I'm just asking, can you use that and still be called open space?
These are all.
It's pervious, right? It's still pervious space.
It's still pervious space, and I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be considered open space still. But I haven't thought a ton about it. Can you give me a reason why you wouldn't allow it?
I can't give you a reason why I wouldn't allow it, but I'm just asking you.
Yeah.
If someone comes in and we've declared this open space, will they be able to go through there with utilities
Underground.
underground?
I don't think I would have anything to say to anybody about it. I'm referencing what we wrote, we didn't preclude that from the area, I don't think.
I mean,
Double checking, but I
the
don't think
purpose
it's
of
a
open space is both greenscape, aesthetically, and/or environmental preservation.
Yeah, how,
And I
would you
don't
have water and sewer?
And I don't see why that would be contrary to the intent of it or the letter of it.
What's that?
But if I think of something different, I'll let you know.
Okay,
How does that sound to you?
that's
All
fine. I'm
right.
just curious, because
No,
if it comes up, so, oh, we don't do that, or we don't know about that.
No, I'm glad you brought it up.
Thanks, Pete. All right, anyone online for public comment or?
Hang on, I'm gonna counter what he said.
Oh.
Utility facilities or easements that materially restrict open space use. So if you had something that was fenced off, that would not qualify for open space, but if it was underground and did not materially restrict the use, then no, it would not count against, or it would be allowable to be a part of your open space.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan.
Yes,
So I got one more comment on that. I'm going to go to R2 real quick. R2 says, which is now more dense than R3, because R2 says no more than 6 units per acre.
Cool, let's knock it down next.
Well, can we do it at the same time or no? Can we-
No, we need to look at that one separately, because we've not even begun to unpack the nuances of that.
I'm just saying at this particular point, that'll be more dense than our R3.
It's worth looking at. But no, if the board wants me to look at that one, or the planning commission to look at that one,
Well,
please
we're gonna
direct me to
have
do,
to, right?
please
At some
direct me to
point,
do
we're gonna
so.
have to.
Well, do what you want to do, but you, if the board directs me to do that, then yeah, we'll do that next.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Any other comment? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, the motions are made and seconded. Or was it seconded or actually two moves? Sorry, guys. We had two motions, no seconds. Can I get a second? Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Good workshop, guys and gals.
Thank you.
Two motions and no seconds.